Welcome back to Market on Close. It's time for overlooked stocks, and we're jumping into the world of nuclear energy with our next name. Joining me now is George Tillis, our senior markets correspondent, and we're looking at Mirion Technologies today, George. Now, shares hit a new 52-week high. They're up 20% on the month.
Yeah.
Tell us what we should know about this stock.
Well, obviously, there's a lot going on in the nuclear space. We've seen essentially the Trump administration start to point towards potential executive orders to enhance this nuclear renaissance in our country. And there's also some national security issues with, relying on uranium from overseas and all these other factors. And there's also the huge amount of demand for electricity. And to fill those demand for data centers, there may be a huge renaissance in nuclear power going forward. So there's a lot of companies in this space that have moved quite aggressively as of late. I think Oklo is one of these names that we've talked about several times, but there are also some other players out there. And Mirion Technologies, MIR, is another one of these names that's been participating in this most recent run-up in the nuclear names. This company's a little bit different from the standpoint of electricity generator. They're not actually a modular nuclear reactor company like Oklo or utility-grade nuclear company like Exelon, but they are a radiation detection and measurement company that actually supplies their technologies in two different segments of the industrial space. The first is their medical space, which includes like radiation oncology and radiation therapy and monitoring equipment. And about 80% of total oncology clinics use some form of Mirion's technologies. But the other segment, I think, is the one that is causing the stock to make some nice moves to the upside, and that's their nuclear safety equipment, which is all about Geiger counters and monitoring equipment, but also waste management solutions. And they serve essentially about 95% in some capacity the nuclear utility industry space here in the United States. So this is a company that's been around for quite some time, but one of the things about it is it's not necessarily a company that's expecting to generate revenue, because some of these other names that have been moving as of late really haven't generated any revenue. This is a company that's more of a picks and shovel type play in the nuclear space. For instance, again, the monitoring equipment, if uranium mining starts to catch regulatory favorability in the United States, there's a lot of radiation equipment from a detection standpoint and waste disposal standpoint that might actually come to Mirion's total addressable market. And if you look at the last 5 years of this stock, it actually broke out of a trading range about a year ago and is starting to trend back to the upside. And I think it has to do with the fact that the earnings multiple of this name is starting to expand with the expectation that they'll gain more revenue base from the nuclear renaissance that we may be facing in our country. The other thing is this company it's profitable. They are generating revenue. Their growth in revenue last year was around 7.5%. Their expected revenue on a forward basis is around 7%. It's a little bit slower than last year's estimates, but their earnings estimates are expected to grow around 18% of total sales. And if you just consider some of these forward metrics that I use as sort of proxies for trends, anytime you start to see earnings growth relative to sales growth improve by 1 to 1.5 times sales, you start to see some stronger trends. And I think that's starting to manifest here with this name.
And I'm sure we'll be hearing more about Mirion. George, thank you for highlighting them for us. Of course, seeing a big bump across the nuclear space after President Trump signed those executive orders that aimed at boosting that energy industry and ease those regulatory requirements. But we appreciate your insights, George.